Well, hello, gentlemen. Today is the 4th of July, and what I want to talk about today is a woman's relationship to the material world. Now, just so that we're clear on something, what is the material, right? We're talking about the things that we can perceive with our five senses, as opposed to the world of energy or the supernatural or the spiritual world. We're talking about material things. We're talking about things that we can touch, uh, feel, hear, taste, and smell, right? And see. And so, what is this? What is the relationship that a woman has to the material world as opposed to men, right? How do they interact with the things that are around them? Well, for one thing, their senses are different from ours, which is why men tend to have a hard time understanding these beings. Their feelings are different. They tend to be more polar about things. Um, Going from one extreme to the next. They can easily hate without much reason, and the same thing. They can love something that they should have no basis on loving. uh, but anyways, one of the things is, women differ from men in these senses in many different ways. So I'm just going to point out some of the ways here, and then I'm going to talk about how this leads her to her enslavement, and the people that are behind this, as well as the role that the government plays. um and last but not least, I'll finish with a list of government programs that we have ended up with as a result of her, her, her being different from us. So number one, women have less muscle density. This is pretty well known in the manosphere. They have the muscle fiber is not as dense. In other words, they don't have as much muscle fiber in the same amount of body. Therefore, their strength is less than that of a man, usually. Um, her skin tends to be softer and more um, delicate, in a sense that she has a really hard time touching things that are rough, and doing work such as construction or mechanics or that sort of stuff. Yeah. Um, she really shuns all that. Her upper body strength. Women have less upper body strength than men. So what this leads to is her inability to physically manipulate the world, and so she has to manipulate other people, um, by persuading them to do her bidding. You see, because she's unable to do it herself. They have a higher percentage of body fat. This is so that they can have a higher chance of survival, and being able to take care of offspring. Their heart is tends to be smaller than men's, and I don't know if there's a spiritual connection having to do with this. you know uh, as in the case of, maybe they're not willing to feel, or they're not able to feel love in the same way that men are able to feel love, because their hearts are smaller. The heart being the center of uh, of the chakra system, and you know leading to those feelings, that those connections or whatnot. But this video is about physically, her physical connections to the material world. And so, but I mentioned this because um, this leads to her acting based on not having enough connection to something, or enough feelings, good feelings towards something, enough care. um, and so this affects the physical world as well. um, they tend to have more dexterity in their fingers. They can type faster usually, text faster, that sort of stuff. Their physical reaction times are slower than men's. Um, for a grown woman, it tends to be kind of like for a teenage boy, how fast they can react to things, physically speaking. Um, Unless they're trained, in martial arts or some sort of fast action sports or whatever. And last but not least, sometimes they tend to have a more of a keen perception when it comes to social issues, social matters, or whatnot. But anyways, so it's because of these differences in the way that she is able to perceive the physical stimuli in the world, around her, that she it appears to us as if she seeks immediate pleasure, all the time. And this, so she gambles her future. You see, she gambles her future because of this. She runs away from things that are hard so quickly. Right now, do men do this? Yes, we do this, but we do it to a lesser extent. And that's because we're not threatened as much by the physical world that she is. You see, so this inability of hers to be able to manipulate the world, to manipulate her physical reality, her vulnerability to the outside world, this unwillingness or inability to cope in a world that is largely, materially speaking, it's been largely imagined and put together by men, right? This forces her to hoard, and she doesn't save money like a man would, knowing that the size of his purse or the size of his wallet depends largely on his production and what he brings to the marketplace. Instead, what she does is she hoards all that she can, because deep within her is the suspicion that at any moment she may encounter a situation that renders her fragile, useless, little body um, not being able to bring things to the marketplace, not being able to produce on her own. She's not able to produce on her own, and so the loss of a job for a woman, you see, it's much more a dramatic and a drastic event than what it could ever be for a man. And again, this may or may not be due to her laziness, but more so is because she's unable to operate, she's unable to manipulate her physical reality at her own will. She must manipulate others. She must manipulate other people into doing her bidding, or she's got to confine herself to doing light duty labor. And so that's why women tend to gravitate towards careers that that has them using their ability to communicate, like law, marketing, sociology, psychology, sales, these sort of careers where they can use their speech, to affect change in the world. And of course they also go into nursing a lot, and that's because they hope to be able to tackle down a doctor, you see, by manipulating herself into that legal system, into that medical system, not because she cares, not because she cares about the patients or anything. No, she's positioning herself. She's positioning herself to to be provided for, by a man of means. And so, with this having been said, I want to talk a little bit about debt. And see, the bankers, people think the banks just loan money or whatnot. The bankers, these big banks, they do all sorts of research, and it's obvious the bankers knew all of this before we did. you know, before the common man ever did. They knew all about these inferior beings, you know, that we call women. And so that's why they catered to her, you see. They knew about her hoarding, they knew about her weaknesses, and they knew that, you know, she was the way to weaken the family and make people dependent, you know, make entire families depending on the banking system, the banking cartels. And so, you know, they were well aware of the fact that she saw debt not as, she didn't see it as a worst case, you know, last resort sort of option, you see, but she saw debt as a way to secure future resources in a world that is largely outside of her control. And the bank knew this, you know, the bankers, they knew this, and they knew that scarcity threatened her, that it threatened her survival to a much greater degree it would than it would to any man. And so, you know, we see that she buys things with money that she doesn't have, and she do this to secure her, you know, she does this to secure her future. And she's not seeing that she is throwing it all away, you see, because she lives in the moment, or at least it appears to us that she lives in the moment, right? Her feelings are everything that matters to her. And so, you know, that's largely how, you know, that's a big part of how the family came to be destroyed, you know, first in America, and then of course, you know, people followed suit, see, throughout the world. But you know, it's obvious. I mean, these women, they it appears to me as if they're perfectly fine being pimped. They're perfectly fine with it, you know, as long as there's a carrot dangling in front of them. And so, you know, she's got this promise of a secure future, not necessarily a prosperous one, but a secure one, you see. And she's let down, you know, she's let herself and her entire family down this, you know, this rabbit hole of you know, dealing with the bankers and of slavery, you know. And we got to the point where everything's financed in America, you know, cars, houses, weekends are financed, you know, you name it. And so I want to end this video here because it's the 4th of July and you got people celebrating. Shit, even the British are celebrating, and I'm wondering, you know, why are the British celebrating? You know, didn't the United States beat them in the, you know, in the war for independence? I got a message from the Brompton bicycle company, because I own a Brompton bicycle, and they want me to celebrate with a new bicycle. And I said to myself, well, you know, didn't we go to war against them? We're celebrating the war against the British. Nothing wrong with the British people. They're nice people, but it just doesn't make any sense to me. There should be no cause for celebration on their end. But anyways, since it's 4th of July, I want to celebrate. I want to end this video with a list of government programs, because, you know, these women, you know, they really had a, you know, once women began to enter the marketplace, you know, the labor marketplace, a host of things began to change, you see. This, of course, you know, after industrialization, you got, you know, a limit of the hours on the workday. You got the weekends, you got the holidays, like today you got the holiday pay. Of course, you got maternity leave, you got the social security, in quotations, right? Security. You got sick pay, workers' compensation, retirement programs such as 401k, or the IRS, you know, what the government have to say, how, you know, how you save. They dictate, you know, the terms of the saving program. You got pensions, you got alimony, you got child support, you know, quote unquote programs, because they're really just they're not really a program. They're just, you know, scams. You know, they're scams that hurt men. Unemployment insurance. You even got something called PUA. You know, it's called Pandemic Unemployment Assistance, PUA. It's a government program. You got another pandemic thing here, PEVC, Pandemic Emergency Unemployment Compensation. You got FPUC, Federal Pandemic Unemployment Compensation. You got LWAC, Lost Wages Assistance Program. And so, we have to ask, is this all cause for celebration for men? And of course the answer is no, because all of this money comes from your pocket. And it ends up, most of it in the pockets of corrupt politicians. And then of course, they throw a bone here and there to women, and they seem to be happy with it, but here are more programs, TANF, Temporary Assistance for Needy Families. That's otherwise known as welfare. They changed the name of it. It used to be called welfare, but that's what they call it now. But you got to keep in mind, guys, when they say needy families, every time they throw out this word families here, families, right? What they really mean is women, women with their bastard children. That's what they mean, at your expense. So every time you see oh, families this, families that, they don't mean you. They don't mean you with your Bible and your woman, and your gun that the government doesn't have to give you a license for, because they're really the enemy. You shouldn't need a gun permit to fight tyranny, because I mean think about it. The government giving you a gun license to fight them, really? But anyways, that's a story for another day. We got Social Security Disability Insurance, otherwise known as SSDI. Then you have SSI, which is Supplemental Security Income. Then we have the FAFSA, Federal Application for Student Financial Aid. Nowadays, that means mostly women. It means mostly women that are getting free money to get those useless degrees. Then we have the Affordable Connectivity Program, otherwise known as ACP. And they give them about $30. Give people about $30 discount for broadband, and $100 discount towards new laptop. This is a government program, guys. Government program that comes out of your pocket. Everything comes out of your pocket here, you being a man. So go ahead and celebrate 4th of July if you want to. I'm not celebrating. You have EBB, and this is another government program. Electronic broadband, I forget what the other thing was, but it's about $50 to $75 per person, to the tune of $3.2 billion that we have to pay in taxes collectively as men. And what this does is this throws a bone to the people that don't want to pay their broadband bill. They want cable. They want internet, but they don't want to pay for it, so you pay for it. We have HCV, Housing Voucher, otherwise known as Section 8. Good luck getting a housing voucher if you're a man in the United States. You'd sooner see a man on the streets than any dog. You have Federal Highway, FHA loans, Federal Housing Authority loans. This is money that they give to women, at 3.5%. Well, they give it to quote unquote families, right? Families. But of course, after the house is paid off, or when she thinks she's gonna cash out, there goes your house. You're out of it, and you're still paying for it. And need I say, some of these loans are forgivable, quote unquote forgivable loans. So if you do as the government says, if you're a good little pup, lap puppy, right, then they may forgive the loan, right? If you end up paying the hoe, right, by getting involved in all these government programs and giving half your life away, then the government may forgive that loan. Then you have the Housing and Urban Development, HCV program, which is it says here home ownership voucher for low-income families. Again, families, you got to put that in quotation, guys, because they don't mean you. You're not gonna easily qualify for any of this crap unless you're tied up to a bimbo. Then you have rental assistance programs. You have foreclosure prevention programs. You have USDA backed loans. Again, good luck trying to qualify for any of this crap if you're just a single man. Housing and urban development loans. USDA National Hunger Hotline. And it says here to call 8663 Hungry for info and eligibility requirements. You best be broke. You best be broke if you need, and this government, it's for the rich and the poor. The rich are on welfare, corporate welfare, and the poor, of course, they don't care if they sell their neighbors into slavery. Then you have the WIC or WIC. That stands for Women, Infant, and Children. And again, good luck identifying as a woman in order to get any of this assistance. You have NSLP, National School Lunch Program, SBP, School Breakfast Program. I mean, why are so many kids broke in school? Families can't pay for lunch. Take your lunch from your house. Well, the government, they're not even educating these kids, and they find a way to justify selling them a lunch every day, because that's really what it boils down to. Big companies like Cisco, or US Foods or whatever, all these big companies, they have a vested interest in those kids being quote unquote hungry. Of course they, those lunches, the women don't want to cook anymore. They just figure, hey, just throw the kid in an 8 to 12 hour out of the way prison, and have them feed them that institutionalized food. And who cares what they turn out to be, as long as I get my paycheck every month. My check every month from the stupid non-MGTOW guy that managed to get me pregnant, and from the government. Then we got another community supplemental food program. This one's for elderly folks. It says for seniors, over people 60 plus. That too comes out of your pocket. After the government milked all these people. They know that most people who are broke like that only are going to live a couple more years. But they find a way to justify getting money out of your pocket so they can keep them alive. Medicare, Medicaid Part A. You got Medicaid. You got Medicare Part B. You got Medicare Part D. You got ACA, Affordable Care Act. That's the infamous Obamacare. Then you got CHIP, which is CHIP, Children's Health Insurance Program. Then you have COBRA, which stands for Consolidated Omnibus Budget Reconciliation Act. Anyways, guys, I can go on and on with all these government programs. I bet no man really signed up for any of this crap. It's been mostly for the security of women, the safety of women, the security of women, because they're unable to manage money and they're unable to produce to the extent that any man can. And so we need all this intrusion into our daily lives by the government, justified as it all being for the protection of families, right? Supposedly families. But it's really all the women that have opened the floodgates so that the government can come into your lives. Anyways, I don't think you should celebrate. Let me know what you think. I'll catch you in the next video.